All I'm
That's
saying
what we said. There are people who didn't want it to happen at all. You sound like one of them. Did you hear what I said?
Yeah.
Like, what is the alternative to not talking? Just sit at your lunch table?
Tyrus, now what do you think? Maher said, liberals are not going to like this. I know they're going to come after me. And of course, they did come after him.
I'm sorry. I don't know what y'all watched, but Bill Maher. I'm sorry.
Before Tyrus sent Bill Maher's oversized confidence crashing out of view, Maher liked to see himself as the king of sarcasm. What happened next, though, wasn't a quick joke or a slick comeback. It was a total flip. In a moment that felt more like wild comedy than casual banter, Maher's smirk vanished almost instantly. Tyrus didn't just respond. He turned the whole exchange into a masterclass in humor, using Maher's own style against him and leaving him with nowhere to go. If you've ever wondered what it looks like when Bill Maher gets completely outplayed and you could almost feel the heat, this was that moment. Buckle up, because this front row clash is loud, fast, and impossible to ignore.
I'm sorry. This is like someone who talked about black people his whole life and then had dinner with one and said, actually, after I had dinner with them, they're not that bad, guys. No, you don't get to do that, you coward. You went on a show and you tried to play both sides of the street.
That's right.
Why? So maybe he could do your show? Because the 300,000 people that watch it, if we had those numbers here, I wouldn't be here. These dudes make me laugh. Cowards die 1,000.
At this point, Bill Maher's familiar grin after every awkward joke feels less like confidence and more like habit. It's as if he's already giving himself credit just for showing up, grading his own material as it hits the room. He likes to present himself as a fearless teller of hard truths. But more often, it comes off like that overly confident relative at a family dinner, the one who mistakes being loud and stubborn for actually being honest.
You can move too far left. And when you do, you wind up pushing the people in the middle to the right. At its worst, Canada is what American voters think happens when there's no one putting a check on extreme wokeness. They say in politics, liberals are the gas pedal and conservatives are the brakes. And I'm generally with the gas pedal, but not if we're driving off.
That's where Tyrus steps in and says out loud what everyone else in the room is already thinking. Bill Maher isn't pushing boundaries anymore. He's cruising, recycling old material, and relying on the audience to be polite or distracted enough not to catch it. Take away the stage and the spotlight, and he starts to look more like someone on the sidelines, waving for attention while still insisting he's the fearless outsider. The irony is, the culture he claims to be challenging has already moved on, barely glancing back.
You said things about President Trump nonstop. You had no reference point. That's all you proved to me. You sit down with a man, you break bread with a man, then you come and say, well, on this night, he was okay, but don't be mad at me. Splitting hairs.
Now, let's talk about how he actually delivers the jokes. Comedy doesn't feel like something Bill Maher is shaping anymore. It feels more like he's dragging each line uphill and letting it drop, hoping gravity does the work. His pauses go on forever, long enough for the room to wonder if the punchline got lost along the way. Every setup carries that same heaviness, like he's bracing for applause that hasn't decided whether it wants to show up. Instead of sharp timing, the jokes land in awkward silence, each one quietly asking the audience to clap just so everyone can move on.
You know what this whole thing, everyone keeps acting like they need Bill Maher. The little guy who doesn't lift weights, 99% of the internet, what, MySpace? Come on, man. This dude represents nobody. A PR stunt for who? I'm sorry, I missed the Oval Office Rose Garden meeting where President Trump was talking about Bill Maher was there.
Yeah.
I missed that one.
Bill Maher casts himself as the headmaster of a made-up comedy classroom, lecturing the crowd with opinions so outdated they feel past their expiration date. He takes shots at everyone, struts around like he's running the whole show, then looks genuinely confused when no one wants to sit at his so-called cool table. It's not thoughtful balance. It comes off as someone trying a little too hard to stay relevant.
He's talking about it. The president's not talking about it. He doesn't need Bill Maher. He's got 70% of the country cheering him on. He walked into UFC, the place went crazy.
Then why did he accept dinner with him if he didn't?
Because he's like everybody else.
No, why did Trump?
Because that's who Trump is. He will break bread with anyone. He will sit with Kim Jong-un and break bread. So little punk-ass Bill Maher coming to the house and sitting in the seat. And what did Trump did? He was gracious. He treated him. Everything. He had to leave and come back and go.
His obsession with being the last real comedian makes him look less like a champion of free expression and more like a leftover from the late 90s. That time simply forgot. The jokes feel dated. The pacing drags. The interruptions never seem to end. The routine barely changes at all. Welcome a guest, talk over them, and make sure everyone knows he believes he's the smartest person in the room.
Go, he wasn't any of the things I said because you were part of the machine. You were part of the thing. He wasn't as bad as Joe and Micah was where he's sharp as attack, but he led the charge. He continued to say things that weren't true. He supported things without ever bothering to say, hey, you know what? I want to sit down and when I have a problem with someone, if I had a problem with Johnny and me and him had a problem, I'd be like, we need to sit down and talk before I would go out on social media and talk about him. But he needs President Trump.
And I'd say, let me have a
needs the
weapon
audience.
first.
Yes, yeah. Well, you know. But at this point, to coin one of the greatest, funniest phrases in all of comedy, I would ask Bill Maher to step in my office. And he would say, why? Because he's fine.
Clothes are just an outer layer. They don't define who we are or draw lines between people. Remember when everyone wore slacks? It wasn't a statement, it was just what people wore. The strange part is when that same choice suddenly gets criticized while everyone else is dressed the same way. It's never really about the clothes. It's about how they're used against you.
But look at the difference. You can just see the way we dress. We're not different people. This is like, you come from, the slacks generation. Like slacks were still a thing.
These are not
but slacks were a thing.
No, I look good. That's the difference. Is that you were
do
wearing?
Look good.
You're wearing
You're not
sneakers.
Gonna throw that in my face.
You got a t-shirt on.
You look like offended.
Bill Maher built his reputation on a kind of edge that's been carefully padded and made safe. He talks a lot about courage, yet keeps circling the same familiar jokes that never really go anywhere. He's not pushing limits. He's clinging to them and hoping the audience applauds anyway. That's exactly why Tyrus calling him out lands so hard. Maher leans on a laugh track and the comfort of an HBO set, while Tyrus cuts straight through the padding. And honestly, that moment was powerful enough for a primetime spotlight, even if HBO wouldn't have the nerve to let it happen.
Bill Maher finally got back on his show and told us what happened when he went to the White House and met with Donald Trump. I like Bill Maher and I like going on his show, but he definitely has been suffering from a case of the TDS. Once the TDS gets you, it's hard to come out from under it. But I see shoots of grass, mixing all sorts of metaphors. I think he's starting to come out from under it. And to his credit, he went there. It was brokered by Kid Rock. And to his credit, President Trump allowed it, welcomed this, and was very gracious to Bill Maher, who has been brutal.
Bill Maher treats every episode like it's a cultural intervention. America, listen up. Daddy Bill knows best. What comes next are half-baked arguments, worn-out references, and monologues that could have been lifted straight from your uncle's wine-fueled Facebook posts. Watching him scramble to stay relevant is almost funny. Applause is his lifeline, each clap keeping alive the illusion that he still holds the room's attention.
He wants Democrats to fight. Now he's whining. Oh my gosh, she's talking like a podcaster. Like, do you know how many members of Congress I've talked to who actually curse? I know preachers who curse. Shut the hell up, Bill Maher. Go smoke a blunt.
Tyrus's takedown of Maher hits more like a public service announcement than a typical roast. Maher isn't some fearless truth teller. He's the grumpy neighbor who thinks he's the star of a story nobody else is watching. He clings to his politically incorrect glory days like they were historic comedies, when in reality, he's just wrapped another show and settled into the comfort of HBO pay tracks. Some martyr indeed.
My old pal Bill Maher is at it again. He's got the TDS gets in his eyes sometimes and he says some wacky things, and here's one of them. SOT 23.
I don't know if I was the first one to use the phrase slow-moving coup. If there was a slow-moving.
And his whole cancel culture act, total performance. Maher acts like every line could end his career, yet he's been repeating the same rants for decades, from one of TV's safest stages. His go-to defense, relax, I'm only joking, lands about half the time as a lecture, not a laugh. The result isn't bold comedy. It's tired, self-satisfied, and about as appealing as a dusty bottle of expired cough syrup.
He can't smoke a blunt because he is an ass. He's a blunt himself. Listen, a blunt tool for stupidity. Bill Maher, to me, for a long time, has been anti-black. And I know a lot of people say they don't believe that. Bill Maher is racist as hell. This is just a reminder of that. The idea or the audacity of him to have a problem with Jasmine Cracker, who shows up to work more prepared than anybody in every fucking committee she sits on. No one is more prepared than this representative, and I know that.
Bill Maher's smugness is on another level. He presents his panel show as the last bastion of free thought, but really, it feels more like ego therapy. He interrupts guests, pats himself on the back, and calls it a discussion. Meanwhile, he mocks the late-night hosts, forgetting they fully embrace their role as entertainers. Bill Maher lectures on Gen Z and social media like he's narrating a National Geographic special, and his smartphone rants land like a grandpa yelling at the thermostat.
To his credit, somebody like Bill Maher, who took a shot and, not surprisingly, predicted doom and gloom, has come back to say the following. Listen to this on SOP 4.
Remember, I, along with probably most people, was saying at the beginning, oh, you know, by the 4th of July, somebody had to think how the the economy was going to be tanked by then. By this time.
Next up is his never-ending feud with religion. Bill Maher turns criticism into an Olympic sport, competing for both gold and maximum condescension. Religulous wasn't an exploration, it was him mocking believers like a debate club dropout. Pushback, and he acts like he's being persecuted, even after decades on HBO with a built-in megaphone. Only Maher could speak to millions for years and still claim he's being silenced.
Look at you trying to beat a drinking and driving charge. He doesn't have any priors, Your Honor. Look at him. He's wearing his Chelsea boots. He's a what do they call it? A productive member of society.
No one ever
All right, well, then Nepo baby. Your dad has a construction company, you take it over. Does somebody call him a Nepo baby? No, it just becomes, you know, Sanford and Son.
Yeah, but it's a little more pronounced when it's in the arts, because you have this...
I hate that word.
Why?
Pronounced.
Jesus Christ.
Because that's like a PED.
You know what?
You know what it was? That was like a PED for your...
Tyrus's message is clear and cutting. Bill Maher isn't a rebel. He's a formulaic comic recycling edgy opinions that never actually leave the safety zone. He's not in danger of being canceled. He's in danger of being ignored. And that's what really gets under his skin. Beneath the smug delivery is an aging performer, mistaking audience applause for insight, clinging to his platform as the illusion of risk and relevance quietly fades away.